This session is budgeting. First of all, I would like to share some. Of course, budget can be discussed under different perspective, different headings. Today, what I will do is we will focus on corporate sector budgeting, not the government sector budgeting. But just to highlight the public sector budgeting, thought of sharing few slides with you initially, then we'll come to the corporate budgeting part. The what is already given for you, the slides given. But I just want to highlight that today's session at the beginning, the budget, when you take budget, you can talk about the budget or budgeting systems from different perspective. The country has 3 levels of administration, that is central government and Palas Sabha and the provincial council level, local authority. So each level will have budgeting practices, but when it comes to the government level, the central government, what is important is the constitution of the country, 148 article, that is as per the constitution of the country, Sri Lankan constitution, that's called the constitution of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. According to that, 148 says that section of the article 148 says that control of parliaments over public finance. With regard to the money matters, public finance, the public finance means revenue and expenditure and how it is, how the deficit is financed. That's something about public finance. So public finance, the total control is, with the parliament, the responsibility of the parliament. Parliament shall have full control over public finance. No taxes shall be imposed any local or public authority except by the authority of the parliament or existing law. So we can't, the government cannot put taxes and other levies without getting approval from the parliament, or if there is a special law. Now, with regard to the rate and taxes, we call it Varipana. So there is a separate act. So of course, by using that act, of course, the relevant authorities can collect the tax and rates and taxes. Anyway, what I want to communicate is that the 148 really has the control over the public finance. Then 149 of the Constitution says that all receipts shall pay to the consolidated fund. All expenditure shall be charged to the consolidated fund. So when you take the government income and expenses, all has to be channeled through consolidated funds, one particular account. But there are certain other accounts also, contingency account likewise, that is for different purposes, but generally all the income of government and expenses to this particular, we call it consolidated fund. Then the third one is 150 article, withdrawal of funds from the consolidated funds. If you want to take money, that means expenditure side, no funds shall be withdrawn from the consolidated fund except under the authority of the Ministry of Finance. So if you want to get out money from the consolidated funds, of course, that has to be under the guidance of Ministry of Finance. We call it authority letter is called warrant. But since it is controlled by the Parliament, the public finance, it is essential to get the approval of those income and expenses in terms of we call it national budget. Now we know that this year and for the 2020, I think government is getting ready for the budget to prepare. For example, timeline for government budget preparation: early June, of course, Ministry of Finance and Planning sending the circulars to different departments, asking their budgets and their requirements. Then end of June, agencies' budget requests are submitted. So end of June, so all department will do. That's the normal procedure. Submit their requirements, budget proposal. Then July to September, of course, completion of the budget preparation and negotiation. The process taken place. Early November, that may be first week or second week of November, submissions of budget to the parliament. So after getting the approval from the cabinet, that's the normal timeline. So thereby, normally budget speech we will get November early or the second week of November. If there is no special extraordinary circumstances events in the country, normally we get the budget for the next year in November in the parliament, then first, second reading. Likewise, there are discussion debates going on the parliament. Then once parliament approved by the budget, so that goes to the Ministry of Finance. The finance ministry is responsible for disbursing the expenditure by based on foreign document. With regard to the budget cycle, Pradesh Sabha, there is again this thing. Budget formulation is there. Chairman is the each Pradesh Sabha. Chairman or the secretary is responsible. Then the budget approval, the council. Then the budget executions. That is the implementation. Then budget oversight means the auditing and audit committees, all these whether the expenditure implementation is taken according to guidelines. So something like that. I just wanted to highlight the mechanism, but I didn't cover up the total aspect of the government budget and other budget. What I did was I just gave you a brief idea about budget. So with regard to this, so what I want to communicate again with you before going to the this thing. I think you can see my email and yes. See, I have all the budget speeches from 1970 onwards. You see budget speeches. So all these budget speeches I have up to the latest one. What you can do is, if you read this whole budget speeches in the country, say from 1970 or whatever the year, you can identify different patterns, different logics behind this government. For example, up to 1977, so we had a more closed local industry oriented, agriculture oriented, tea, rubber, coconut oriented, export oriented, economy. That is the characteristic. If you read, for example, all these budgetary speeches, especially 1970 to 1960s, 1976, you will realize that budget speeches all focus on local or the national or the local focus industries and the agricultural focused program. But with the 1977 with Jayasjayawardena, 1978 Ronnie Demel really giving his first budget speech as the Ministry of Finance. He is making the longest budget speech in the Parliament, 1978, and he is really making proposal to open the economy under neoliberalism. So the country is open, we call it open economy, market mechanisms. So thereby radical changes, foreign exchange, import export matters, the industry policies, all these matters are really radically changed with this uh, budget, which is in 1978. So I think thereafter, after that, Jayawardena, then the R. Premadasa, then DB, up to 1994. Then 1994 is uh, Chandrika Kumartunga is taking battle, taking the battle. Of course, what if you look at those budget speeches during her period, with especially this Mangal Samravir, um, they take more steps than the previous government by making the country economy open to other external transactions. Uh, you can remember telecommunication industry, there's a big change. She proposed different project, but during her period she is not in a position to implement all those proposals, big mega project. But in 2005, you can remember the Mahinda Rajapaksa is coming to the scene, and he is implementing he's designing and implementing big mega projects, and we call it development-led debt strategy. We are using a development-led or development-focused projects by using debt, and a lot of mega projects really started and completed during his period. Then, of course, 2015, Yahapalandu is Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maitri Sirisena is coming into the scene, and then they are just they are not making big impact, they are not really undertaking big project, but they just continue their term. But in 2019, of course, present president is coming to the power, and now they are going to make the second budget speech. And if you look at the first budget speech Mahinda Rajapaksa made last year, according to that budget, so if you read the budget, they accept two things. One is the projects which have been implemented not as much successful as they expected. That is one story, due to many reasons. In the first time history, that is being accepted in the budget speeches. And the second one is the country is more focusing on not external debt, more focusing on internal or the domestic debt. I don't know how far it is practical, but that is the guideline. So what I want to communicate to you is that when you read all these budget speeches, maybe from 1948 to 2021, so you will find out different patterns, different trends, how funds are being generated and how funds are dispersed. So you may have different era. You can identify different patterns. So the budget really help us to. What I want to communicate to you is that budget is a document which help us to put our strategies into implement. So thereby, according to the strategic direction, maybe a country, it may be whether the strategic direction is questionable or whether it is wrong or whether there is a problem or not, a different story. But when you take a strategic direction to put that the direction into the line to have a clear sense of direction, what is essential is you need a document. That document is called budget. So thereby, I just put your attention to the budgeting matters in public sector in brief. But today's topic is not public sector budgeting. I just wanted to, put your attention into that area also. But today's topic is the budgeting system from corporate level perspective, business organization perspective. So today's budgeting system we will discuss. Just to start the budgeting matter, when you say budget is basically, it comes to your mind when I say budgets, rupees and cents, income and expenses. So one can say, okay, for the next period, for the next month, for the next year, for the next quarter, what is being expected and what is being, as outflow of your business come into the budget statement. So that is it's a kind of calculative number driven document. You can say budget. But if you look at my example, what I explained in earlier by using the public sector, you say it's a kind of allocation of resources. You can remember that before 1977, I told you that it was more focused on domestic economy. So thereby more funding really allocated to agriculture sector, maybe tea, maybe rubber, maybe coconut, or maybe some other agriculture oriented, land development, maybe irrigation projects. During those period, we invest more money on irrigation projects. But if you look at the nowadays, we are not investing much on that, but we are now focusing much more on infrastructure, maybe road development, maybe some kind of electricity development, energy development, or maybe some IT infrastructure. If look at this, the Sri Lankan government nowadays, there are big IT projects are going on under e-governance. Inland revenue has been digitalized by using the RANI system. Custom has been digitalized. Ministry of Finance and the related department being digitalized by introducing ITMIS. And also, when you look at the divisional secretariats and at that type also, the provincial council and local authorities, all these down level structures also have been, started digitalization process. So what I want to communicate to you is that budget is kind of, it's a document which help you to allocate your resources. Why you allocate resources? Why you need to allocate resources based on, your by identifying your priorities. Because resources are limited. When resources are limited, obviously, you have to allocate resources. For example, nowadays, that for teachers, they are demanding their salaries. Government, on the other hand, is arguing that no, we don't have enough money. Our priorities are not that. We have other priorities. So thereby, it is not possible to give you that much. So we will give you 5,000. So something like that. So what I'm trying to say is that budget is a document, as agree, it's a number game, number driven document. You get the income and expenses for a particular period, but it's in a way, budget is a document which focus on resource allocation. So why resource allocation is coming, limited resources are limited. Even if you take whatever particular group of company, you take your bank, you take your group of company, you take any business organizations you are familiar with. Now, even that business, whether it is a large scale or small scale, relatively, the scarcity is there, resources are limited when compared with the requirements or need of that particular organization. So thereby, you need to allocate. When you take a group of business, Group has limited resources. The group has to allocate the funding, the money among different business units for different purposes. So thereby top management, board of directors and other consultants and advisory groups will get together and decide how we are giving, how we give priority. So thereby, in a way, when you say budget is a kind of a document which prioritize your requirements. So thereby, budget is a prioritizing document. Budget is a resource allocating document. Budget is, of course, based on numbers, you can see. So thereby, budget you can look at from define from different perspective. Budget you can look at not only one perspective. You can look at, you can define, you can describe, you can understand, you can assign meaning to the budget from different perspective. So I think I gave you three perspectives. It's a number-based document, a prioritizing document, and also a resource allocating document. So if accountant, if you ask the accountant what is budget, he may talk about, yes, it's a rational way of allocating money or the resources among different stakeholders, different entities. That's the accountant. But if you further, if you go and ask what is budget about, a politician, but politician of the way of looking at budget is not in such a way. Politician might say that
නෑ මං කන්න කමන්නේ මේක බලමින් හරි කෑ හැකි
Miss Rage mic එක mute කරගත්තා. Budget, when you look at the budget from politician perspective, it's a political document. So thereby, you allocate resources. You allocate resources so as to maintain your power, or so as to expand, so as to strengthen your power. That's the kind of budget which is hidden. So thereby, you can look at the budget from political angle also. Even if you take private sector, corporate sector organizations, CEOs and the board of directors, they may play politics. That's called organizational politics. So thereby, depending on the top management's interest, that is means the politics, organization politics, budget documents you can see as a political agenda also. But if you look at the government, of course, the public sector budget, you may talk about many aspects about the political aspect. That is national level politics, maybe the down level, the local authority level politics. Now, if you look at this local authority, the urban I think they when they allocate money, they allocate for road development. If particular road is need to develop, suppose you are the chairman, your house is located on that road and you are a little bit far away. And what you do is the first priority is develop the road which is more closer to you. So your road, you think that is your road. So thereby more money is allocated to that particular way. So they are prioritizing, when prioritize items, when you prepare the budgets, political interest is coming into this. Anyway, this background information, what we can do is, with this background information, we will just look at technical aspect of budgeting with this slide presentation. So budgeting, as I told you, we can have a different perspective. Thereby discussion we can direct to many aspects, but here we will discuss more technical matters which are relating to budgeting. But I gave you the overall a broader picture. With that broader picture, what we do is we are discussing the budget as a technical instrument which help you to achieve your plan or the desired direction. So outline strategic planning and budgeting systems. You know, always budget is linked to the strategic planning or the strategic direction, strategy of the organization. There is a purpose of budgeting. So there are purposes. It establishes responsibility accounting. Responsibility accounting is there. Even if you know that you may, when you think about your home, so you can understand the responsibility accounting. Husband and wife. Wife is taking more power and, you know, allocating resources, and according to that, the husband has to, you know, basically spend, and he's responsible. Even if you send a child to a you know shop, so we will look at the expenses structure and the responsibility accounts, the balance and all that. Then the annual budget and planning tool. So we consider annual budget as a planning tool. Budget, as I told you, it's a number-driven document. It's a political document. It's a resource allocating document. It's a rational document. It's a prioritizing item. It's a document which prioritizes your requirements. Or you can look at it as a planning tool. In the strategic planning and budgeting assumptions, there are certain assumptions. The operating budgets, you know, operating budgets, operating activities you have, budget which is, you know, required for day-to-day operating, maybe your salaries, you know, if in the bank, you know, there are operational expenses in addition to this interest and other charges, but there are operational, staff cost is coming under the operational. If there is a rent, if there is a payment for your IT software services or software systems, those all are coming under the operating budgets, which incur each and every year, not like capital budgeting or budget. Then the financial budgets, you may talk about the financial budget with income and expenses. The budget in not-profit organization and government agencies, we will very briefly discuss. Budget administration, of course, budget admin, like exam administration, like bank administration, we have the budget administration. In your organization, you may have a separate division or corporate planning or budget division, something like that. But if you know if you take the public sector, so there are different departments. I think Ministry of Finance, budgetary department, treasury department, all these departments are focusing on budget, and there's a separate department coming under the budget in the treasury. Then there are behavioral consequences of budgeting, that is the behavior of people, different interests, the politics and etc. Then we will talk about zero budgeting and program budgeting. That's our outline. Okay. Then first of all, strategic planning and budgeting system we will discuss. A budget detailed plan summarizes the financial consequences of an organization operating activities for a specific future time period. So as I explained, budgets talk about the financial consequences or the financial results of your activities, financial results of your future activities, financial results of your next year, financial results of your next quarter. So those are the financial consequences. But it may be in summary form, but you should have a detailed supporting documents for your summary figures. Now, when you read the Sri Lankan budget, national government budget, what we can say is that detailed budgets, detailed informations are not really given, only the summary form. This department this much, for this project so much, this project. So budget proposals are there, but no detailed information. So when there are no detailed information, we raise the question of professionalism of preparation of budget. If you look at all these budgets in the government, fundamental question is, are those budgets preparation coming under the professionalism? So it's a different argument again. We will forget about that. Second one is a core components of an organization planning and control system. So budget, again describe another perspective. You see it's a planning and control system. So you see planning and control. You know the meaning of planning and control. So traditionally what we do is we decide what to achieve, we decide where to go, we decide what our expectations are. We know in 2 years, in 1 year's time, in 5 years' time where we want to be. That is the plan. So plan may have strategies. So plan may have organization structure. Plan may have structure how you are going to achieve that. The organization of resources also coming under planning. For example, whether you undertake that particular activity as a project or normal hierarchical organization or hybrid organization, something like that. So planning has many things. So once you prepare the plan, you know, you will implement your plan, your expectation, you are trying to implement. So once you implement, you have to ensure that your implementation is line with the plan what you had. That's called in certain cases monitoring. Monitoring. I know that central bank is of course regulating too. So central bank is having macro level objectives with regard to the financial market matters, with regard to the country's money supply, with regard to the inflation level, with regard to the country development. They have their own macro level targets. So what the central bank is really doing, what they are really focusing is whether are we achieving our macro level objectives by way of performing the banking system in the country. That is the monitoring mechanism. So if there are some barriers, if there are some if they understood that no, very difficult to go with this way and we have to change it, we are stuck here and there are constraints, so you may take action. For example, classic example is central bank governor recently issued, not the present governor, Professor Lakshman, I think you can remember, he issued a letter with regard to the foreign currency, indicating that you have to buy foreign currency at this rate and you have to sell the foreign currency at this rate. Something like putting a maximum price like for sugar, for coconut, something like that. So he issued central bank really issued a guideline to the banking system, commercial banks or commercial banks, but it's against with market mechanism. It is against with neoliberalism. So without allowing market to decide the currency rate, so he instructing no, you have to maintain at this rate. So I think that the issue, that was the main reason for governor to resign. But what I'm trying to say is that when there are human beings, they watch and they take control actions. Maybe control actions not line with the practical, not line with other issue, but anyway, what I want to communicate to you is that control is that you try to put, you will understand that your implementation is not line with the planning, so thereby you may take certain actions. Control, we call it corrective system. So to have the control system, of course you need to have measurement system. That's why in any bank or any organization, they may have key performance indicators. Their word is key performance indicators. Those are the targets. to be achieved. You may have your non-performing loan ratio, maybe, I don't know, 20% or 10% or whatever the rate. You may have the target, and each branch is trying to achieve that target. If that target is not achieving, then you will take some precautionary actions. Maybe you are trying to control the lending mechanism. You will try to, you will have aggressive recovery process. Recovery copy making strong. So likewise, you take corrective actions. That's called control system. So you may do this whatever the levels. Under macro level, that is the macro level, as a whole country, and organizational level, corporate level, that is the top management group level, then the business unit level, then the branch wise, organized department wise, all I think do the planning and control system. That's why we are appointing people, experts. You may be, there are credit officers, credit managers, strategic division head, corporate finance head. There are different positions. So we create those positions to look after the monitoring system from different angle, different perspective. So thereby a core component. So budget is a part of this. Without budget, you can't plan. You can't implement the plan. You can monitor the plan. You can't control the system. So thereby, budget is a central document. Budget is the centrality of managing a business. Budget is a mechanism which is central when you manage any kind of business, not only the corporate level. That means the groups structure, even your branch, even normal this small shop, even the person who is selling candle on the road should have a budget, because he or she has to plan and control. Now, of course, nowadays, that there are no people on the roads by selling, lunch packet and other items. That reason. But last 2-3 days, I think there was a trend, and they also have come to the roads, and people are moving. So what I'm trying to say is that wherever you have the human life in this world, in this I call it in this neoliberalism scenario, in neoliberalism scenario, a budget is a kind of documents which is required. Now, by using budgets, what happens is we are controlling people. Budget, if there is a budget, we control ourselves. So disciplinary. So thereby, budget helps you to discipline an organization. Budget helps you to discipline a particular government organization. So budget helps you to discipline the government. So budget really is a mechanism of disciplining the entire people of the country. Now, for example, in this new budget, if new proposal is coming to something else, so according to that we have to act. So thereby budget is controlling. Now suppose this budget proposal, if finance minister is telling us in the budget proposal, no allowances for public sector employees, no allowances. So what I have to do? We have to control. We have to discipline. We have to manage with that income without allowances. So thereby, without our awareness, without our knowledge, budget really influencing us to discipline. School quote budget. It's like a weapon. It's like an instrument to control people to govern people. Even if you take your organization, whatever, so you act according to the budgets. Even your home, you are being disciplined by the budget. Even though you don't have a written budget, but you will have a budget in your mind. This month, these are the expenses. This month, no additional capital expenditure. We don't buy any technology instrument to the kitchen because this month we are planning this way. So thereby, budget is, discipline people. So that's why planning control system. Through planning and controlling, what we are doing is we are disciplining people. We control the people. We motivate. We encourage people to think the way we want. The way we want means the management, the desired people. Anyway, it's okay. A critical way of providing information to managers to help them manage resources and create value. So it's budget always provide information. You compare the KPIs with actual data, actual achievements. So that provides useful information, right? So thereby it creates. But the thing is providing information. Now, if it is manual, I think that the reliability of information is questionable. But if you have sophisticated, well-developed system, I think information is much more real time, much more timely, much more relevant, much more important. In your bank, your branch, when you go to the branch, if you are in the particular lending division, you go to the system and log in, and you should be in a position to identify loans outstanding more than 3 months. Once you call that report, require that report from the system, I think you may get all the lending which has more than 3 months. Likewise, so that information is much more important. So you will have say 1,000 lending, and out of this 1,000 lending, you see that 900 facilities loans are outstanding more than 3 months. Only 100 facilities are really making the payment on time. So thereby you will see that your lending portfolio is not efficient. Your lending portfolio is abnormal. Maybe due to the COVID situation or some other special reason. But anyhow, what I'm trying to communicate to you is that if you have a very good integrated, interconnected information system, I think this will budgeting system can be implemented more effectively. But if someone is saying that okay, data has been deleted, or someone has deleted the data, so in such environment also budgeting is not effective. So thereby you will see the importance of having good IT system to enhance your manage resources and create that. But on the other hand, you may have the system, but if you are not using this information to better for your organization, we all are human beings, but system will generate relevant, extraordinary, special reports. So what is the purpose of if you are not using those reports to improve the performance? So thereby, motivated team, human resources, leadership, all those are matters. So thereby, when you say a budgeting system, it is not just a budget. Budgeting system needs a very good socio-cultural, economic system in the country, in the organization. Otherwise, just mere budgeting will not help. Classic example, just to provide you with public sector examples. In 2020 year, Auditor General has issued two two reports, especially for inland revenue. Two special reports. One is about arrears revenue. They have presented a report. These are the revenue which has not been settled by the particular people to this inland revenue due, like your lending portfolio. When there are arrears balances, you will take action to recover. So likewise, when you go to the inland revenue, in their system also there are receivables from the old system. I think it's about I can't remember the data. Maybe 800 million legacy system, according to that report. And under REMIT system, arrears amount is 2.1 billion. So you will understand huge amount of arrears being disclosed by Auditor General. So it's a kind of information. So those information should be used by the people who are really responsible, accountable. Just mere reports will not help. Then another report of value-added tax, VAT case, that's which have not been credited to the inland revenue. You know what is that? For example, there are different issues in VAT. VAT is collected on behalf of the government. The collected VAT should be, made to the government, transferred to the government. I think next month 15th. මේ මාසේ කරපුවා ඊළඟ මාසේ 15 දාන්න ඕනේ. monthly තියෙනවා, quarterly තියෙනවා. That's okay. So thereby there is a huge amount of money collected on behalf of the inland revenue by different sources, different people, but not credited to transfer to the inland revenue. I'm not going to give you the detail. If you refer to those sector general details, you will get that. So huge amount of inefficiencies or corruption taken place in this. So thereby what I'm communicate to you is that if you refer to these Auditor General reports, you will realize that bond scandal, bond issue is, it takes when the bond real issued, but each and every year this VAT and income tax corruption manipulation taking place, and it is worth not rupees 1,000, it is billion. So each year, every year. So thereby people's money, general public money, really being used for powerful people, not to remit to the inland revenue. But what I want to communicate to you is, but I took that, even information is there. If those informations are not taken seriously, the purpose of budget is, not achieved. So thereby no value creation, no managed resources. Only thing is the inequity will be increased, poverty will be increased, system will collapse, and you will contribute to create inappropriate culture. Right, often has time horizon a year. Budget, when you say budget, 1 year. So with the first slide, what I want to communicate to is that the budget is a financial consequence, as I explained earlier. So it is the central to the planning and control system. It provides critical information, so you can use that information to improve, to increase the efficiency of resources and to create value. Value creation is the main purpose of a budget. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Strategic planning and budgeting system continue. The strategic planning is long-term planning, usually undertaken by senior managers. So you prepare the strategic planning, long-term planning. Decisions about corporate strategy. You may have different corporate strategies, the type of business and market that the organization operates in, how those business and activities will be financed, decision about business strategy, how each business compete with its chosen market, a time horizon 3 or more years, long-term plan maybe 3 years or more, 3 more years, 5 years, formulated in broad terms, far less detailed than budgets. It influences the formation of budgets. So when you talk about long-term planning, uh, so it's totally talk about the corporate strategy. I will take very recent example of corporate strategy. Just look at the gas industry, what they did, especially the laugh and the gas industry. Laugh really created the scarcity, but it is unethical. You see, it's similar to a doctor's strike. No? People think that unions can strike, but people cannot understand that the corporate giants can also carry out mass level strike, which have a negative impact on people's day-to-day life. So I see that even when you put a barrier to the market, when you make customers uneasy, I feel even maybe trade union, maybe the government, maybe board, a particular CEO, particular organization, if they are letting down their customers, that is also kind of strike. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but we have to talk it separately. I see it's a kind of strike against the people. Anyway, in this sense, we don't see those things as a strike. We see that, oh no, industry, they what to do? We have to be on the line and we just go and buy our, product, something like that. But when people strike, they that is more visible, that is more tangible, thereby tangibility is there. So thereby people make a lot of statements, not on the people, civil people, media, all these people. But when such thing happen in the industry, not providing the particular product to the customers, they have the obligation. They can't escape from that obligation. So we see that, okay, no gas is the world market story, and they don't have enough profit and something like that. We have many excuses for them to say, no, you did the right thing. But if you strike, we have many things. No, it's against people. Anyway, with regard to this gas industry, what they did was, their corporate strategy was, they reduced the size, like budget packets, like budget small අර කියන්නේ රුපියල් 20ක reload රුපියල් 30 reload, so you may have different budget, different packages, but in gas what they did was they reduced the size of the product content, the product core product they reduced, and by reducing that they feel that, okay, we are reducing the price also, but ineffectively price has not been increased. It's a kind of corporate strategy. So thereby you may have different corporate strategies, but those strategies has to be ethical, not unethical. We call it ethical business practices. Now for example, you see some advertisement asking us to, doctors are recommending in the particular advertisement, no, not you have to brush your teeth not 2 times, you have to brush your teeth 3 times. Why? Then particular signal or particular brand is coming. So you will see that when we have 3 times our brushing teeth, what happen is toothpaste consumption is increasing. When toothpaste consumption is increasing, what happen is our buying, our buying pattern is little bit more frequency of buying. If we buy one toothpaste for 1 month for our family, now we have to buy it within 2 weeks. So thereby two toothpaste per month. So you see, the corporate strategy may focus to increase the consumption indirect way, and also you see the same advertisement. The toothpaste is taken to the brush as a full චුට්ටක් නෙමෙයි. එතකොට අපි toothpaste එක පිරෙන්න toothpaste ගත්තාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? You increase the consumption. So likewise, there are corporate market penetration strategies. There are different strategies. Or you may go to a new market like corporate strategies. You earlier you sell the toothbrush in Sri Lanka and you may go to the India. So new market. Likewise, you will have different corporate strategies. Or you may have integrations. Now, if you look at this supermarket, especially I think Food City, Cargills, they have their own cultivation. Earlier they didn't have it. Now they have developed the villages and village people, they encourage, there's a separate group and those groups are really cultivating. So that product yield is taken by the Cargills and put into their supermarket. So that's called a kind of integration. We call it backward integrations. So if you produce rubber gloves, you may go to the village and you encourage people to grow this rubber tree. There are special projects. So that is kind of corporate strategy. Then you know that the raw material supply is consistent, controlled by you, because earlier you purchase the raw material. Now raw material supply is part of your business operation, value chain, part of your value chain. So thereby you have no problem with regard to the this thing. Even distribution. Now you see certain business people, the pizza, they have their own delivery bicycles. So it's a kind of integration. So it's called forward integrations. So what I want to communicate to you is that corporate strategy may focus on different strategies, but longer term. And if you don't have any capabilities, you may go in for joint ventures. For example, I think Solidia tire in Sri Lanka, the heavy tire. Jinasena and some company, I can't remember, I think Solidia tire. Jinasena is expert in producing the tire, technology, engineering side and raw material. Jinasena is having that capacity, but they don't have Jinasena is not having the capacity of marketing worldwide. Solidia is having the marketing channel and they have the distribution power. So what they did was they developed a joint venture between these Solidia and the Jinasena. So that's how people work together. The corporate strategy may come from different perspectives. Another corporate strategy may be the cost leadership. Cost leadership is you are focusing cost cutting. You are the low cost producer. You are the low cost producer. If you are the low cost producer, your competitive advantage is much more. Because you know that your cost structure, you can produce better than the others. You can produce at a lower cost than the others. So thereby, what happens is you can compete with that. So when you talk about this low cost strategy, cost leadership strategy, you may implement different cost cutting, non-value adding activities, new management or the Japanese management principles, lot of new techniques will be used with regard to low cost strategy. Then how each business compete with its chosen market. So business strategy is about how we are going to compete, whether we are going to compete with cost leadership or the focus strategy. That means the differentiation strategy. Now, if you look at the Hamidias, the Hamidias is competing in a different way. But if you go to the Mahakama, this place, the government place, so they have the low cost. So, but Hamidias is something else. That market, the cloth market or the ready-made market, and when you go to the Maharagama, there is a ready-made market, but two different market, two different business strategies you will see. Time strategy, I don't take much time to explain all this, but discussing this corporate strategy and business strategy is a different topic. I think that you may have covered this area in another course coming under the corporate plan or strategic plan or business strategy. But you have to remember now the business strategies has been digitalized. Now we talk about the digitalized business strategy. So think about the Uber, think about Picme, new internet-based, sales, various, website to sell under different names their products. You see, so digitalization of strategy. When you digitalize, what happens is all systems getting discarded. We call it distructions. Now I think banks will have ATM machine also. I don't think it's a kind of strategy earlier about 20 years back. Maybe ATM was the competitive tool, competitive advantage, but with this debit card and electronic money transfer, the ATM usage is very, I think, low. But if the country is underdeveloped, if the country's businesses are not really, IT environment is very low in the country, of course, ATM machine again, still will be, crucial. But developed countries, I don't think the ATM machine is, that much getting competitive advantage. But they have, but there are other forms of, product to be used for customers with this digitalized era. So previous system get discarded, new systems are coming in. Now taxi. Can you remember the taxi cars? Earlier we called the taxi people and asked, can you come at this time? 588 වගේ taxis තිබ්බනේ ඒ කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම චකලාස් වුණා with this pick me up and Uber. So they also had to change. They also, I think, they in a limited scale they develop such system. Okay, anyway, I think it's a different topic. What I want to communicate to you is that from the broader picture, from this corporate strategy and business strategy picture, you locate the budget. That's what my purpose. Then I may discuss the purpose of budgeting with you. Purposes of budgeting, you can have different purposes, but for this discussion, I think as for this author, there are 5 purposes. Yes. So it will vary from author to author. It will vary from slide to slide. It will vary from lecturer to lecturer. You may talk about different purposes, but basically these 5 items I would like to discuss with you based on this particular text. That is planning to quantify a plan of action. Of course, budgeting will help you to plan. When you say budget, it's a kind of plan. Now government is getting ready to prepare next year plan. Government is getting ready to tell the public this is our plan for the next year, right? So that is a quantify a plan of action. So thereby you, but this plan is not in words. This plan is in quantify. Then when you write a grocery bill for you to do shopping, what you do before going to the shop, you will sit on your table and you will write. සීනි kilogram දෙකයි at this price. Then සබන් කැට මෙච්චරයි, powder සබන් මෙච්චරයි at this price. If you know the price, you can put that also. So ultimately what you have is you will have a quantity and you can convert that quantity into rupee by multiplying. At the end, you know that today's budget is, I am going shopping, I need that much of money. Even you don't have the rupee value in your budget, grocery list, by looking at the quantity. Sini kilogram mecharai, meha mecharai, meha mecharai, meha mecharai, meha mecharai, meha mecharai. By experience, you know that I need 15,000. You may ask a husband, 15,000 not to bear the budget ticket. So you see, it's a kind of plan. Then facilitating communication and coordination. You know, when you prepare the budget, so you inform. You may discuss with your CE. If you prepare the group budget, you will discuss with CEOs and CFOs. I think even bank may discuss their budgets with respective key players, with the staffs. So communication and coordinations. So think about the government budget, which is going to be presented in November. Same thing, communication. First of all, they get the detail, they prepare the budget, put it to the cabinet, then put it to the parliament, discussion. When the parliament discuss this budget, and the finance minister making his speech, budget speech, you know, matters are communicated to the country. Very clear. Then respective department will coordinate. Respective department will coordinate. Irrigation department with the education department, irrigation department with the agriculture department, irrigation department, agriculture department, and Ministry of Finance. So likewise, so coordination. Allocating resources, as I told you, I'm not taking much time. It's a provide for allocating resources. We give this much of this and that for that, and that. So it's a kind of tool to allocate resources. Then controlling profit and operations. So controlling profits and operations. You know this much of revenue, or this much of revenue, these are your expenses, so this is the profit, and you control your operations. And also when expenses are given for your branch, so certain cases you may have the budget limits for expenses, so you control your operation. You control your operations. Right? So budget can serve as a benchmark to allow comparison with actual results, evaluating performance and providing incentives. At the end, if you have achieved the target, you may get the rewardings, you may get the salary increment, you may get the bonus, or the team, the total branch will get the bonus if they have performed line with the budget. So thereby, you can't evaluate the performance without a budget. You can't control your operation without a budget. You can't control your profit figure or estimate the profit without a budget. You can't allocate resources without a budget. No, difficult to identify the priorities, and also it will facilitate, if you want to communicate and coordinate different departments to reduce the complexity, to reduce the uncertainty. What is required is the communication and coordination. When your organization structure get much more complex, I think budget document will answer to reduce the uncertainty and complexity. Classic example is the government budget. When you look at the government budget, managing a government, state, the present government, whatever the government will, we're a very complex situation. So by using budget documents, they control entire population, entire organizations, entire public sector department. They control. So thereby, by using communication and coordination. So similar to your corporate level, your business, your bank will prepare a budget and you have to act accordingly, right? Planning is another thing. I think purposes are very clear, but if you can justify, you can write anything as under purpose, but you have to justify. You have to explain why it is a purpose. Okay. Then we will come back to the responsibility of accounting. We have discussed basically the budget, what is budget, strategic planning budgeting system, and also purpose of budgeting. Three things we have covered. I have gave you a very broader preface or the picture about the budget at the beginning, and after creating a picture, broader picture. So I discussed with you the budget, what is budget, the planning, strategic planning, the business strategy, and the purpose of budgeting. Now we are moving towards the responsibility accounting. What is responsibility accounting? Responsibility accounting is you are responsible for the society, the interested parties, for what you do. That is the idea. Responsibility accounting. That's how the systems, hierarchies, organization develop. Each individual in an organization, in the society, should make responsible. Making responsible towards what their actions, what the individual actions, or what the group of actions coming under the responsibility accounting. You are making, you are responsible for what you did. You are responsible for whatever the decision you take up. You are responsible for whatever the command given for your subordinates. That's coming under the responsibility accounting. Responsibility accounting means making people responsible. Making responsible, right? Budgets are prepared along responsibility accounting lines. So thereby, when you look at the budgets, you establish the responsibility. We will see what those are. Responsibility accounting, the practice of holding managers responsible for the activities and performs their area of the business. For example, if you are in a branch as the manager or the credit manager, you may have a certain responsibility to approve a loan. These are the conditions to be satisfied. These are the documents required. These are the securities required. This is the maximum loan you can offer for them. And duration period is so much. So there are guidelines. So all these guidelines really ensures, in addition to the budgeting, the responsibility account. Managers of various departments develop their own budget estimates for cost, revenue, and profits, their area of responsibility. Based on your responsibility, so you may develop your budget. You see that, okay, I can raise this much of revenue. I need this much of expenditure. So thereby I will develop this much of profit for you. But based on the responsibility, they are then help responsible meeting those budgets and targets. Once you develop your budget, once you propose, this is my target, this is my expectations, they become your responsibility. So that's called responsibility account. They are then responsible for meeting those budget targets. Yeah. Right. I hope that you are with me and you can understand what I'm telling. If you have any question, I can allow you to raise. But do you have any question? Okay. Chat box. Where is it? Chat box. I'm talking. Yes. Yes, that handout you don't have, but I will upload it. When we will receive the marks of the assignment, you will get the marks of the assignment with the final results. We didn't receive earlier regarding budgeting and we didn't, but it was uploaded earlier. Before this, Dr. Manjula's lecture, he did 2 lectures about financial ratio analysis. And the ratio analysis, before that, we uploaded, I think, this particular slides to the LMS or whatever the portal. So what I did was I asked Dr. Manjula to take these. I advanced his topic title, 2 test sessions, ratio analysis, and yeah, that has been uploaded 21st August. But the public sector 3 slides I just developed. I will give it to. I will ask them to upload it, but it's not a big thing. But I just want to, create a picture, link the budget to the public sector budgeting also. But public sector budgeting again, it's about 6-hour session. It will take 6 hours to discuss the public sector budgeting. But anyway, I will make those available. But this handout, what is now currently being discussed with you, is being uploaded to the system 27th August 2021. I got the message from one student, Dakshina. Thank you, Dakshina. Okay. Any question? If not, I will continue. Luckily, I got. If I were at home, I don't think that I will be able to deliver the lecture because there was a power failure. I thought it will, recover, but not. That's why I just quickly came to the university. Luckily, my house and the university has, very low, narrow distance. Within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can come if there is no traffic. Maybe by this time now we may have got the current, but luckily university we have current no issue. Okay. Then shall I go to this slide again so that you can see my slides. Responsibility center. We are talking about responsibility centers. No, sorry, I'm sorry. We are looking at we are discussing the responsibility accounting. Under responsibility accounting, we can discuss the responsibility centers. Responsibility centers. Responsibility accounting is linked with responsibility centers. Responsibility centers. Now, if I ask you in your home, for the daily needs, who is responsible? For certain items, maybe husband. For certain items, maybe wife. That's how you have allocated your responsibility. Responsibility. The උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් ගෙදරට අවශ්‍ය මූලික අඩුවැඩිය ගේන එක සමහර විට සමහර ගෙවල් වල නෝන තමයි කරන්නේ. සමහර ගෙවල් වල ලිස්ට් එක ලියලා දෙනවා නෝනා හස්බන්ඩ් ගේනවා. එතකොට කවුද responsible? ඒත් නෝන තමයි. මොකද මහත්යට සිදු වෙනවා ලිස්ට් එකට අනුව බඩු කියන. ලිස්ට් එකට අනුව බඩු කියනවා නැත්තම් ලෙඩි. So thereby husband is not responsible for daily needs. The responsibility is with the wife. But in certain houses, of course, husband may take the leadership. It depends. But I want to communicate to you is that responsibility center means you are responsible for that area. That is your responsibility. So thereby you are taking the decision on that area. Your decision. You take the decision. You have the right to decision. Maybe by rules and regulation. Authority maybe by practice. ගෙදරට rules and regulation නැහැ. ගෙදරට ගොඩක් දේවල් වල කුස්සියේ තීරණ ගන්න wife. By practice, by culture. හැබැයි ආයතනයක culture practice එකට වඩා responsibility එක center එකේ එන්නේ වැඩ බෙදීමේ authority එක. නේද? You know that branch manager has certain responsibilities. Branch manager may have up to 20 billion or 30 billion loan granting facility. Branch manager තමයි ගන්න. හැබැයි 30 million මම උදාහරණ වශයෙන් I don't know the rates, but I'm just telling you example. එතන අපි කිව්වොත් මිලියන මට 200ක් 300ක් ඕන කියලා. එතකොට කියනවා සර් මෙහෙමයි ඔක branch එකෙන් කරබන්න බෑ. You have to approach you we will prepare the document, we will pass this thing, you go to the branch and just maybe certain cases. I'm not exactly knowing. I don't know the exact authority level, but එතකොට ඒ loan එකට අත ගහන්න බෑ branch manager. ඒක responsibility center එකක් නෙවෙයි. But when you talk about this corporate sector, certain organizations, now for example, if you take a particular organization, say manufacturing organization, production department. එතකොට අපි හිතමු garment එකක් කියලා. ඒ garment එකේ ready raw material consumption එකට who is responsible? garment එකට අමුද්‍රව්‍ය හැටියට ready accessories එනවා. ඒවා එතකොට production එකට පාවිච්චි කරනවා. එතකොට who is responsible? I think production manager is responsible for the quantity of consumptions of raw material. Bakery එක නම් දැන් උදාහරණ වශයෙන් hotel එක නම් chef is responsible for the item consumed. ඒක තමයි chef කියන්නේ. එතකොට hotel factory එක නම් production manager. ඒතර production manager දැනගන්න ඕන අවශ්‍ය වෙන බඩු ටික හරියට provisioning අපේ production schedule එකට අනුව නාස්තියකින් තොරව උපරිම කාර්යක්ෂමතාවයෙන් යුතුව පාවිච්චි කරනවා කියන production manager තහවුරු කරයි. He may have controls, but he is responsible. දැන් අපි හිතමු එක්තරා bakery එකකට මේ bakery item හදන්න පිටි කිලෝ ටොන් එකක් ගෙනාවා. මේ පිටි කිලෝ ටොන් එකෙන් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ estimate එක අනුව bakery item මොනවා හරි item අපි ඒක complex කතාවක්, but item 1000ක් හදන්න ඕන. That's the target. That's the standard. පිටි කිලෝ ටොන් එකෙන් අපි හදන්න ඕන item 10000. හැබැයි bakery manager ට පුළුවන් උනේ මේ පිටි කිලෝ ටොන් එකෙන් item 9000ක් හදන්න කියලා. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ප්‍රශ්නයක් දැන්. Now he is responsible why he was unable to make 10,000 units of bakery item by using the particular amount of flour. Yeah, performance එතකොට ඒක පිටි ටික කොහෙට හරි යන සුදු ගියාගේ ඉන්න පුළුවන්. පිටි ටික නැස්ති වෙලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. පිටි ටික සේවකව පොඩ ගෙදර ආන ගිහින් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. පිටි අඩුවෙන් මෙයාට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ටොන් එක වෙනකොට ටොන් 4න් 3 ඒ කියන්නේ 4න් 3 ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන he supplier did a bad thing. So he is responsible. එතකොට ඒවා එනකොට කිරලා මැනලා ඒ ප්‍රමාණය ගන්න එක, ඒවා ඉෂුව කරන හැටි, ඒවා නාස්ති නොවන හැටි, හීරෙන්නේ නැතුව අලුත් හොඳ ටෙක්නොලොජි එකකට එතකොට දැන් ටෙක්නොලොජි එක පාවිච්චි කරනවා. වැරදි ටෙක්නොලොජි එක තුන ප්‍රොඩක්ෂන් මැනේජර් වේස්ටේජ් එක තියෙනවා. The Mahindra Responsibility Center is that. So, a unit of organization whose manager is held accountable for the units of activities and performance, that is responsibility center theoretically. Manager is responsible in that. So thereby, manager has the power, manager has the autonomy, manager has the right to make decisions. Then it becomes responsibility center. Certain cases, certain people have responsibility. So certain cases, suppose you are running a business, but you are not responsible for deciding prices. You can't decide the price. Even though you are manager there, you are not responsible for the income. For example, in your branch, if the lending rate is decided by the head office, or lending rate is decided by the central bank, then interest income is not under your responsibility. Interest income is not under because interest rate is decided beyond your authority. That's the idea. Responsibilities. So there are four types of centers: cost center, revenue center, profit center, investment center. We will discuss each center separately, but I don't take more time on this. Cost center is where manager is responsible for only cost. Are you clear? If it is a cost center, you are responsible only cost. I think most of the maybe branch managers may be cost centers if you are not responsible for revenue. In certain cases, you may be responsible for revenue if you are a marketing team, people in the revenue department. Now, for example, if you take the government inland revenue, you see they are responsible for revenue. Correct? Efficiency of revenue collection, they are responsible. So thereby, in certain cases, if you are responsible for pricing and revenue, it's called revenue center. So you may be responsible for revenue, but you are not responsible for the cost. Very rare you get that kind of thing. If you are responsible for both cost and revenue, you are responsible for the revenue, you are responsible for the cost. You have to manage, you have to attract more customers, keep customers, generate revenue. It is your responsibility, and also you are responsible for controlling cost as well. Then your responsibility center is, we call it profit center. You have more responsibilities. You have given more autonomy. Now, cost center is, of course, less autonomy. We call it decentralized model. Sorry, centralized model. Even revenue is somewhat less autonomy. But when you say profit center, you have more autonomy. Like CEOs of an organization. Wakari business CEO. He is responsible for cost and revenue both performance. The investment center is a little bit advanced than profit center. In an investment center, there are three responsibilities. You are responsible for revenue, you are responsible for cost, and also you are responsible for investment decisions. Long-term investment. So suppose you are buying a machine for your bakery as a CEO. If you are buying a machine, when you take that decision, when you finalize the decision, when you approve that decision, that means you are an investment center. So you are responsible for investment decision also. So when you say investment centers, managers are more freedom, more power, more empowered, more autonomy. So thereby, when you get more and more responsibility, you get more autonomy. So thereby, center managers are more, you know, decentralized system, decentralized system. Like පළාත් සභාවේ මහ ඇමතිවරු. පළාත් සභා මහ ඇමති හැබැයි මම හිතන්නේ පොලිස් බලතලයි දින නැත්තේ ඉඩම් බලතලයි නැතුව අනිත් ඔක්කොම බලතල යාට තියෙනවා. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් වෙස්ටර්න් ප්‍රොවින්ස් ගත්තොත් ඒකේ මහ ඇමතිට මුළු බස්නාහිර පළාතේම සම්පත් ටික තියෙනවනේ. He's a big guy. You see the power once selected. මට මතකයි ඔය ඉසිරු කියන එක්කෙනා හිටපු එක්කෙනා. දැන් නැහැනේ පළාත් සභාව ඉසිරු වල. මිනිස්සයා හිටියේ බොහොම දුප්පත් විදියට. මම හිතුවා පත් කරේ. මම හිතන්නේ සතියෙන් man he recovered. He got a lot of image. පාර යනකොට කවුරුත් ගණන් ගත්තේ නැහැ ඒ කාලේ. එක රැයෙන් මම වුණාට පස්සේ all respect no. Why? That much of power, that much of economic wealth, that much of social capital, that much of cultural capital. So thereby, so when you get, power, autonomy, you get unexpected, unlimited, unimaginary status in the society. Anyway, so investment is, that's why CEOs are having more power, more powerful. Yeah, I think CEO වුවහම a powerful man කෙනෙක්. Why? He's having the power, autonomy. Yes, he can take the decision, but his responsibility also much more. Thereby, he is busy always. He has many networks, contacts. He has, his duty list is much more than the time available for him. Anyway, right. The type of responsibility center determines the types of the financial results for which manager is held accountable. So thereby, if you are a cost center, you are responsible only for cost information, cost budget. If you are a profit center manager, you are responsible for revenue budget and the cost budget both. Okay. And if you are investment center manager, you are responsible for your capital expenditure also. Okay. Right. Then we will come to the annual budget. Of course, the annual budget is, a planning tool. The annual budget is a comprehensive set of budget that covers all aspects of a firm's activities, consists of several independent budgets, financial budgets, operating budgets. In large organization, a comprehensive process of formal budgeting procedure taking several months. In smaller organization, less formal. But when you take Haley's group, the budget will take at least 7-8 months. මේ අවුරුද්ද ඉවරන ගමන් ඊළඟ අවුරුද්ද වැඩ පටන් ගන්නවා budgeting division එක, treasury division එක, if there's a treasury division in the organization. Respective finance division, the responsible financial division will start their work. When organization is getting larger and larger, you will start the process. So that's why for the government budget, they start the June. සමහරවිට June වලට කලින් පටන් ගන්නවා නේ. May අග වගේ. Several months. If your organization is small, I don't think it's need. But no. For example, අපේ කුස්සියට අවශ්‍ය, අපේ ගෙදරට අවශ්‍ය budget එක අපි ඊළඟ හෙට කඩේ යනවා නම් අද හවස යනවා නම් දැන් යනවා නම් දැන් වාඩි වෙලා ලියන. That's the budget. So less time required. When it is get more and more complex, you need more time. When you get less and less complex, you need less time to prepare the budget. So financial budgets and the operating budgets, there are two types of budgets. We'll look at those. So I was discussing about responsibility center accounting. Now we are more towards the annual budget planning. So consists of several independent budgets. One is financial budgets. Financial budget means, of course, financial statements and operating budgets. Operating budgets really will decide the activities capacity of the business. So the annual budgets, when you take operating budgets, sales budgets and the various cost budgets are the operating budgets, sales budgets. Now I think you need to understand this operating budget concept very, 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 very clearly. When you have this operating budget, one important point is limiting factor. I think you can remember we discussed the limiting factor, principal factor, when we discussed the short-term decision-making tool. Limiting factor, the principal factor in any organization. Now, for example, suppose you are giving rupees 5,000 for school teachers. Instead of their salary increase, they are giving 5,000. And all teachers agree, okay, what decide the total budget? So, number of teachers. If number of teachers say 300,000, ලක්ෂ 3 නම් ලක්ෂ 3 5000 වැඩි කරාම budget එක. So there you see the deciding factor, the important factor here is the number of teachers. Likewise, when you think about your shops in your village, what is the limiting factor of your operation? Number of customers. Even your bank, how many employees to be put to the front line, that is to take deposits, to take different payments, to withdrawals, those kind of stuff, and to provide information. How many people you are going to put in the front depends on number of customers. Now we know that this Pgedbm University branch People's Bank, there are only one girl, one front office with manager. But if you go to the Pgedbm one, there are 2 people. But I have observed that when the university is operating, when the students are there, I think they need at least the Pgedbm University branch need at least 2. So thereby, depending on the customer, you say that your operating activities you decide. That's operating budget. So thereby, basically sales budget would be your operating budget. Sales budget, of course, quantity into selling price. So thereby always demand is the key factor. Whatever your organizations, your capacity, your what do you call your operation level capacity depends on the number of customers you are handling. Think about a hospital, number of patients. Think about a hotel, occupancy rate. Think about a restaurant. Think about a garment factory. So all depends on the demand, sales budget. Now we know that New Year season's time, certain organizations produce more. So thereby you need to, increase the capacity. You need to increase certain expenses. So thereby, one principle, one main budget is sales budget. So thereby, before preparing all budgets, what is essential is you need to estimate your business level, your customers, then quantify that customers into revenue budget, that's sales budget. Sales budget is the starting point. Based on the sales budget, you will decide how much to produce to your factory. Based on your sales budget, you will decide what is the number of raw material, level of raw material you need, level of skilled labors you need, level of unskilled labors you need, level of IT people you need, level of security people you need, level of other resources you need, depends on the sales budget. So thereby, sales budget is the principal budget, core budget. First of all, you have to prepare sales budget for your business. Sales budget for business. But preparing sales budget is not an easy task because you have to estimate your demand. You don't know the next year demand exactly. You may, based on past experience, based on your strategy, you may decide what would be the number of customers you are going to serve. What is the target market, target size, and what would be the price. So you may have the sales budget. Then according to the sales budgets, certain expenses you may have variable cost. You can prepare the variable cost budget. Certain expenses may have the fixed. Certain expenses may have semi-variable. Depending on that, you can prepare the various cost budgets. Now, once you prepare the various cost budgets and the sales budget, what you can do is you can prepare the financial budget. Budget income statement, budgeted balance sheets, cash budget, capital expenditure budget, CapEx. Budgeted income means your income and expenses. Budgeted balance sheet means your assets and liabilities. Cash budget means cash income and cash going out. That's cash flow balance. That's bank account balance basically. Capital expenditure means the longer term expenditure incurred this current year with the expectation of getting benefits in the next years. So it's something like that. Strategic planning is there. Based on the strategic planning, you will decide the sales budget for the next year. So there are budget assumptions. When you prepare budget assumptions, you may assume that market will go at a 2%. Market will go at a 10% next year. So what happened? If you assume that next year market will go at 10%, then you will look at the last year actual sales or actual number of customers. Suppose you had the actual number of patients or whatever the type, you may have different type of customers again. Then different, sales budget may consist of different products, product 1, product 2, product 3, product 4, product 5, likewise. The total would be the sales budget. But suppose you are selling only one item, then of course number of customers, the growth. So if the last year you had 10,000 customers, if you are expecting 10% growth, then of course 11,000 would be your next year number of customers, number of students. So thereby based on that you can prepare the sales budget. So once you prepare the sales budget, of course it's easy to prepare the cost budget. Again, you will line with the strategic planning. You see, always your budgets are lined with the strategic planning, right? So then of course you can decide the capital expenditure depending on your strategies. Now suppose you are going to give a new product to the customers. If you are going to give a new product, of course you need new machine and new technology. So based on these three budgets, what you can do is you can prepare the balance sheet, budgeted income statement, a cash budget. Those are called financial budget. This is called operating budgets. So you see the financial budgets and operating budgets are linked to the strategic planning, and financial budgets depend on sales budgets and the cash budget. So there are assumptions. Why there are assumptions? Since you are preparing your budgets for the future, so you need to make certain assumption. What will be the future like? What will be the future like? So so certain assumption you may make, but based on your business practical experience, you may develop these assumptions, budget assumptions. Then the annual budget planning tool, budgets are developed for a specific time period, maybe 1 year, maybe 2 years. Rolling budget are continuously updated by periodically adding a new time period, such as quarter, dropping the period just completed. Budget will vary in their level of detail, often dependent on the size and complexity of the organization. So you may have a concept called rolling budget. Rolling budget. Rolling budget is, I think you can understand rolling budget. I just show you the Excel sheet for this rolling budget. It's not a big thing, rolling budget. Rolling budget is a continuous budget concept. Suppose you have a 12-month project, something like this. It's not a big thing. I'm just explaining a simple thing. So මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. So you have the 12-month budget. හිතන්න මේ පළවෙනි කියලා කියන්නේ ජනවාරි කියලා. මේ මාසේ ඊළඟ මාසේ කවුද මේ තියෙන්නේ මේ අපි ඉන්නේ සෙප්ටැම්බර් බජට් එක කියලා හිතන්න මේ 1 year budget. ඒතර සෙප්ටැම්බර් වෙනකොට මේක ඕගස්ට් වෙන්න ඕනේ. 1 year budget එක ගන්න. හරි නේද? එතකොට what happened here is, now this is the budget, September budget. You may have data, you may have your sales figure, you may have your sales, you may have cost information, fixed cost, variable cost, whatever the cost. You may have the figures here. I'm just putting the, don't worry about the figures. So this is your September budget. October, November, December, January. Likewise, you have the 12-month budget. What happened is, under rolling budget, when the September is over, you will add another one, September. This is September 2020. Yeah, 2020. Here, when the September is over, what you do is not September, October is being added. 21 October. So make a makile yano etakota. ඒ budget එක ඉවරයි. You got my point? That is over. Here the month is October now. October 2020. Okay. මාස 12ක් තියෙනවා කියලා මම හිතන මෙතන. ඒතර ඔක්තෝබර් ඉවරනකොට ඊළඟ මාසෙ ඉවරනකොට මේකත් අයින් වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා නොවැම්බර් එක. නොවැම්බර් කියලා අලුත් බජට් මන්ත් එකක් එකතු කරමු. 2021. right? ඒතර ඔක්තෝබර් මේකෙත් නොවැම්බර්. එතකොට මේක මැකිලා යනවා. නේද? අලුත් කියන්නේ when this month is over, what happens is next month another month is being added. If it is a quarter, then make a quarter 1 now, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 now. What happens is, when this quarter is finished, another quarter will be added here. එතකොට මේ quarter එක නැති වෙනවා. මේකට quarter එකක් එනවා පහ හරි මොකක් හරි කියලා. There always there are 4 quarters. මේ quarter එක ඉවර වෙනකොට second quarter එක ඉවර වෙනකොට so you will add another quarter 6 new quarter. So thereby always you have the 4 quarters or the 1 year budget. Here also same. That's called rolling budget. Rolling budget. Is it clear? Rolling budget, we call it continuous budgets, are continually updated by periodically adding a new time period. May period එක ඉවර වෙනකොට අලුත් period එකක් එකතු කරනවා. අලුත් budget එකක් එනවා. Always thereby, so you will have your budget period. Budget will vary in their level of detail, often dependent on size and complexity of the budget. Okay, strategic plan and budget assumptions. Budget comments with an understanding of the strategy of the organization. As I told you, without understanding this strategic planning, very difficult for you to prepare the budget. So it's again reminding in this slide. The budget should support the strategic plan. The budget is based on various assumptions about the competitive environment and the economic environment for the coming year. So you are making certain assumption about the competitive environment and the economic environment. 2 things. Competitive environment means the players. Now if you take the gas industry, we know that there are 2 players. If you know that there will be a new player in the next year, according to the government budget speech, we know that new player is coming in with foreign funds. So then competitive environment is different. So you have to consider that fact. Since you are in the gas market, so you can't have the earlier size of your market share. Your sales may drop. So for that you have to have some certain assumptions, certain strategies. If you can answer for the competitive environment, that means that when the newcomer comes, you are sure that you are not allowing newcomer to take your portion. If you are sure that no problem, no impact on the budget, but if you know that newcomer is much more strong than us, so thereby they will definitely take our share also, then your sales budget will be little bit. And also if the newcomer is coming, you may increase the marketing expenses, sales promotion. You may have different strategies for that additional expenses to incur. So thereby cost is coming, different cost items. Anyway, then the economic environment. Economic environment means whether this particular environment will, conducive, or are there any more constraints, threats for us to do the business? Something like that. Now you know this new Finance Act. Are you aware about the new Finance Act? With the new Finance Act, what they did was they give tax benefits for people. 2 kind of people: those who not declare their income, assets, liability based taxes. They can declare it and they can make payment. Another thing is those who are not making payment, arrears. Those who are not making taxes, the arrears taxes can be paid by removing the penalty. So those are the 2 important. According to the Act, you see that those who not declare their income, we call it black money, laundering money. Those who not declare their income, what they have to do is they have to calculate their taxable income. By calculating their taxable income means those who are not already declared to the inland revenue. That income they can declare, but they have to calculate the taxable income according to tax law. and that much of money, the taxable income of that money can be invested in either buying shares of resident companies or buying treasury bills, treasury bonds, or buying movable or immovable properties or deposit in bank. එතකොට මේ සල්ලි වලින් ඒගොල්ලන්ට සමාගම් වල කොටස් ගන්න පුළුවන්, treasury bills ගන්න පුළුවන්, treasury bonds ගන්න පුළුවන්, movable and immovable ඒ කියන්නේ land වගේ දේවල් වගේම movable and immovable property can buy. මේවා අකුත් කරන්න බැරි නම් ඒවා එහා සමාන මුදල් ප්‍රමාණයක් බැංකු ගිණුමක තැන්පත් කරන්න ඕන. So with this money laundering process, what happens is, you see, the capital market, share market will improve if those who didn't declare money, if they are declaring. හැබැයි ඉතින් අතලොස්සා ඉන්නේ. ඒ අතලොස්ස සල්ලි ටික ගෙනාවොත් share market එකේ prices පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Treasury bond market එක, treasury bill market එක වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊළඟට debt market එක වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊළඟට movable and immovable properties. නිසා real estate and other business sectors there is a tendency of booming. Expectation is economic environment will little bit conducive for business people. ඉතින් ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ, you know, the debt crisis, foreign exchange crisis, economic growth rate challenges, COVID situation, education issues. With those facts, the labor union demands, importation ban, all these factors, when you think about what will happen to the economic environment. So if the economic environment is giving threats for your business, I think budget you need to underestimate. You can't just, you know, having a growth in your budgets, so you will expect a negative growth in your budgets. That's what here. I think I clear it. Competitive environment, whether the competition, what is the degree of competition. Another one is economic environment. I took one example, entering into a new business. One business is coming. Yeah, I took example, you know, Finance Act and other things. Okay, then the operating budget, sales budget, detailed summary of the estimate sales unit and the revenue from the organization products for the budget year. As I told you, quantity and the selling price, you get the budget. Based on the sales forecast, which involve estimating which product will be sold and in what quantities. The sales forecast is critical step in budgeting process. Market research may be used. For the sales budget, you may use the market research. Based on the market research, you may prepare the sales budget. For example, you see, you can prepare the sales budget for the based on this. You may have we can prepare the budget for the 2020. There's no problem. You may prepare quarter wise, first quarter, 2020, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Or you can have the monthly, if you have the monthly data, monthly. You may have the sales quantity, sales or the UK demand in quantity. You may have it demand in quantity. Okay. Suppose for your business you may have 2,000 quantity in quarter one. Of course, quarter one now 9,000, 1,000. Quarter three is very good for us. We know economic environment is better, so we get 3,000 items. Even quarter four, last year quarter is of course good. Suppose this is starting with quarter එකට මාස 3යිනේ, January to March. එහෙම තියෙනවයි කියලා හිතන්න. මේක එතකොට මාර්ච් to ජනවාරි පෙබරවාරි මාර්ච් අප්‍රේල් නෑනේ ජූනි April to June නේ මේ quarter එකේ ඉන්නේ April to June. So this quarter is July, August, September no? July to September මම එතන ලිව්වා මේ දෙපාරක් යන නිසා මේක October, November, December. October to December. Is it clear? These are the quarters. Quarter demand, sales. This is in quantity. Sales price. You may have the sales price per unit. Here simplification. අපි හිතමු අපි යෝගට් නිෂ්පාදනය කරනවා කියලා. මෙතන යෝගට් 2000යි මේ සිම්පල් ෆිගර්ස් අපි යෝගට් එක 30 ගානේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන 25 ගාන කඩවලට දාන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. Not this is අපි හිතනවා මේ ක්වාර්ටර් එකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා මෙතන raw material prices up වෙනවා ඒ නිසා දෙන්න බෑ යෝගට් එකක් අපි දැන් යෝගට් එකේ මිල 30යි. එතකොට මේ ක්වාර්ටර් එකේ යෝගට් එක 30ට දාන්න. Then you get the TR, total revenue. Total revenue is of course you multiply this by 25 no what I can tell so මේක තමයි sales budget එක ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ. Okay, so you get the total your sales budget total is this so the per year so much you get that and so that is your total revenue. Is it clear? That's a sales budget. If you see that this budget is over underestimated, then what you can do is you can have a discussion with people, marketing expert and research data and all that. You can increase. So you may say, oh, not 2,000, this has to be 3,000. This has to be 2,500. Likewise, you can, based on the available data, by having a discussion, you can just tell these are the new figures. So you revise your budget after having a discussion, lengthy discussion. So now your sales units are really 14,500. That's the sales budget. What I want to communicate to you is that everything depends on this sales budget. Raw material, factory. Now, for example, for the factory, you have to command, I need 3,000 units of yogurt next quarter. Get ready for that. අපි දන්නවා මේ quarter එක හදන්න බෑ මීට කලින් වැඩ පටන් ගන්න වෙන පොඩ්ඩක් මේ ජනවාරි වල විකුණන්න නම් they have to start in a different way. And here the factory has to produce 2,500. And here they have to produce 4,000. Here they have to produce 5,000 yogurts. Are you clear? Production manager කියන මට මෙච්චර හදන්න the need. හැබැයි production manager දන්නවා එයා නිතරම stock එකක් තියන් ඉන්නවා. He has the opening stock of yogurt and closing stock at any point. Closing stock. The opening stock එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක යා හදන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. අපි හිතමු opening stock එක අපි හිතමු 300ක් තියෙනවා කියලා. first quarter එක පටන් ගන්නකොට 300ක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒක යා හදන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. Right? Okay. If closing stock is also going to keep 5,000 closing stock, then this much. Right? එතකොට අපි දන්නවා මේ අවුරුද්දේ closing එක මේ අවුරුද්දේ opening වෙනවා. Are you clear? අවුරුද්දේ පාටයේදී. So here he say he is keeping only 200 units yogurt. Ray 200 ඊළඟ මාසේ ඊළඟ quarter එකේ opening වෙනවා. මෙතන අපි හිතමු 300ක් යා තියාගන්නවා කියලා. ඒතර ඒ 300 ඊළඟ මාසේ opening වෙනවා. අපි හිතමු මෙයා මෙතන තියාගන්නයි කියලා 400ක්. 300 නේ. දැන් 300යි නේ. මෙතන 400ක්. Okay, this is the requirement based on the sales budget. So much we need, so much we need, so much need, so much need. But production manager has its own stock. He may have the quarter beginning January 1st, this much of his in his hand yogurt, and March 31st he may have another stock of 500. We call it opening stock and closing stock. We know that always closing stock will be the next period opening. That's why this 200 is coming here, this 300 is coming here. So thereby the production requirement production plan this much. Production එක වෙනවන 3200. එතකොට අපි ඇත්තටම පළවෙනි quarter එකට අපි 3000 ඕන වුණාට අපි හදන්නේ නෑ 3000ක්. We are only producing 3200 yogurts because of the stock adjustment. Even though we need 2500, we have to produce only 2200 with this stock adjustment. Likewise, this is the production requirement. The maintenance requirement the particular resources, raw material should be purchased. Are you clear? The production cost yogurt cost per production, cost per yogurt එක අපි දන්නවා නම් රුපියල් 4යි කියලා. රුපියල් අපි හිතමු අපි 35 25 ගත්තා අපි හිතමු අපි රුපියල් 12ට හදනවා ඉන්නේ. යෝගට් එකක් හදන්න අපි දන්න රුපියල් 12 යන්නේ. එතකොට අපිට production cost එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. මේක වැඩි කරනවා total production එක. එතකොට අපිට පේනවා ඇති අපේ ඊළඟ quarter එකේ cost එක තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. අපිට total ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා විතරම කියනවා ඔයගලන්ට. total ගන්න පුළුවන්. අවශ්‍ය පරිදි එතකොට මේ total එක මෙතෙන්ට එනවා නේද 14500යි sales requirement එක production department එකට එනවා production department එකේ stock adjustment කරාට පස්සේ අපිට එනවා production requirement එක එතකොට ඇත්තටම අපි ලබන අවුරුද්දේ හදන්නේ එකක 14600යි 14500ක් අපිට ඕන 14600ක් හදන්න ඕන but you see that quarter wise that has been spread something like that. එතකොට මේක ඇත්තටම අපි රුපියල් 12න් වැඩි කරාම නේද? total production cost එක එනවා අපට 1,75,200. That is our production budget. And production cost එක අපට තියෙනවා. Then we can calculate the other budget raw material requirements, labor requirements, you know. Likewise, once you have the sales budget, based on the sales budgets, all other operational budgets can be prepared, but you have to consider two things. What are the things you have to consider? You have to consider the competitive environment and the economic environment. I hope that you will got it very clear. How to prepare the to get inputs to prepare sales budget, you may do a market survey, even it's not a problem. Sales budget factory to consider when forecasting sales depends on the industry and nature of the firm. Internal factors, past sales levels, new products plan, intended planning, pricing policy, plan advertising, promotion. External factors, general economic trends, specific industry trends, political and legal events, expected activities of competitors and customers. So When you decide the sales budget, the factors you may consider, can you remember the two factors we call it? Environmental factors. Yes, here. The competitive and economic environments are in general much more important, but those two factors you can divide into two parts. That is internal factors and external factors. Of course, these external factors are much more economic-led environmental factors. You know, general economic trends, whether the GP is going up or whether the country's economy is growing or up, economy crisis, economy boom. You need to consider per capita income increase, decrease, debt rate, the country's debt rate, debt position is good or bad, you know, inflation rate, all these economic trends, specific industry trends, you know, even COVID situation, you know, certain sectors, for example, hotel for quarantines, hospitals, supermarkets, daily needs, pharmacy, all these, you know, boom. Even banks, I think I heard that there is a growing up, I don't know. Anyway, but industry trends may be good for certain, and even COVID situation for certain industries. Good. You see, with these difficulties, economic difficulties, can you label any company has been really collapsed, bankrupt? May COVID situation we are talking about economy. The economic crisis in Sri Lanka, debt crisis, foreign currency crisis, export import limitation. But can you tell me any big company has been really reported collapse? No. Any accounting firm? You know, in America under financial crisis, certain big audit firms became bankrupt. Insurance companies, certain real estate companies, finance companies. But in Sri Lanka, no. You see that this particular difficulty even for the general public, not for others. So thereby, very extraordinary situation, you know, you can observe in Sri Lanka with regard to the industries. Economies, we talk about, all are talking, politicians, civil servants, you know, opposition leaders and academics like us, we talk about the economic crisis, but no evidence being reported with regard to a single company being, you know, face difficult situations. So that's again, it's a fun. I don't know. It's a questionable. It's much more problematic. But anyway, the external factors you can understand, legal matters. This new finance act is a kind of things, legal event, expected activities of competitors, customers. Then past sales, revenue, these are industry specific or the internal factors. ඇතුලේ තියෙන කාරණා. ඒවත් අපිට සලකා බලන්න වෙනවා. දැන් සමහරවල් අපි දන්න ප්‍රයිස් එක අඩු කරාම අපේ sales වැඩි. You see electricity with this solar power projects, I think income of the electricity people will be reduced because solar high what happened to the electricity supply? Their income will reduce. Right. Those are the matters we have considered. In operating budget further, manufacturing firms, I think I discussed the production budget, selling and administration expenses, retail and wholesale, purchasing budget. So when you take the manufacturing firms, they have a manufacturing production budget plus the selling and administration. If your business is retail and wholesale, you don't have a production but purchasing budget. No? So you will have a purchase service firm, a set of budgets that shows demand for service will be met. Service firms will have that kind of budgets. Okay. With the financial budget, of course, cash budget and capital expenditure budget. Cash budget is basically cash income and cash inflow and outflow, like your bank account, like my bank account. What is coming to the bank account? What is going out to the bank account? That's called cash budget. In cash budget, you will get not only the income, sales, but also other source of income. දැන් උදාහරණයක් වශයෙන් අපි හිතමු අපි we are running a factory, we are selling, okay, we sell yogurt. then අපේ yogurt income එක යන්නේ අපේ bank account එකට. You know that story. our current account එකට හරි collection account එකට හරි yogurt income එක යනවා. Suppose during next year I am going to sell my plant existing machines and I am going to replace new machines. මොකද වෙන්නේ? පරණ මැෂින් ටික මම කීයකට හරි විකුණනවා නම් කාට හරි ඒක ඉන්කම් එක එනවා. මැෂින් ඉන්කම් එකක් එනවා. අනිත් පැත්තෙන් මම අලුත් මැෂින් ගන්නකොට මට එනවා වියදමක්, machine expenses. හැබැයි you know those three activities: yogurt income, sale of machines, purchase of new machines. If you look at these three activities, three nature, yogurt income is routine. ඒක හැම අවුරුද්දේම හැම මාසෙම හැම මොහොතේම ඇති වෙනවා. But sale of machine is not every day, not routine. Sale of machine මේ එක්තරා අවුරුද්දක විතරයි ඇති උනේ. Purchase of machine also same. So these are called investment cash flows. එතකොට අපි අලුත් machine වලට cash flow, cash investment කරනවා. පරණ machine විකුණලා අපට අලුතෙන් cash flow එකක් එනවා. ඒකට කියනවා අපි investment cash flows කියලා. අර yogurt income එකට කියනවා operating cash flows. ඊට අමතරව අපි දන්නවා මැෂින් ගන්න බෑ, අපිට පරණ මැෂින් විකුණලා අලුත් මැෂින් ගන්න සල්ලි මදි. ඒ නිසා අපි බැංකුවකින් ලෝන් එකක් ගන්නවා. So ඒකත් අපේ බැංක් account එකට යනවා. ඒකෙන් තමයි අපි අලුත් මැෂින් ගන්නෙ. ඒතකොට you see that that is a kind of finance cash flow. ඒතකොට cash budget එකට ආදායම් වර්ග, වියදම් වර්ග තුනක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Operating cash flow එන්න පුළුවන්. Operating cash flow means එදිනෙදා cash flows incurred in generating your revenue. එතකොට yogurt විකුණලා යන ආදායම, yogurt හදන්න යන වියදම, yogurt වලට සේවකයන්ට ගෙවන වියදම, ඒවා ඔක්කොම operating cash flow. එතකොට ඒවා cash inflow වෙන්න පුළුවන් bank account එකට, cash outflow වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට අපිට investment activities තියෙනවා. investment activities නිසා cash flow එන්න පුළුවන්, cash flow යන්න පුළුවන්. තියෙන machine වික්කොත් investment cash flow එකක් එනවා bank account එකට. තියෙන machine වික්කොත් investment cash out, තියෙන machine අලුත් machine ගත්තොත් cash flow එකක් එළියට යනවා investment. ඊළඟ ණයතුරුස් කොටස් නිකුත් කිරීම වල අපි සල්ලි හොයා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒවා අපි කියනවා financing cash flow කියලා. එතකොට අපිට finance cash flow එක අපේ bank account එකට එනවා. අපි ණයක් ගත්තොත් ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි ණයක් නිරවුල් කරොත් අපේ cash account එකෙන් සල්ලි එළියට යනවා. ඒක cash outflow එකක් වෙනවා. That is your cash budget. Cash budget may have different type of cash inflow and cash outflow. Here, expected cash receipts and planned cash payments for the budget period. Timing of all cash movements is important to identify cash shortage and cash surplus. ඉතින් ඔබ දන්නවා ඇති සමහර ව්‍යාපාර වලට සමහර මාසවලට හම්බෙන සල්ලි ටික මදි වියදම. එතකොට තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඇවිල්ලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ එක බැංක් ඕඩි එකක් ඉල්ලන්නේ. බැංක් ඕවර්ඩ්‍රාෆ්ට්. Timing of cash. ඉතින් ඔබ දන්නවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඊළඟ මාස දෙක මේ මාස බැංක් ඕඩි එක ගත්තට එහෙම නැත්නම් ඊළඟ මාස බැංක් ඕඩි එක ගත්තට තව මාස තුනකට පස්සේ එයා බැංක් OD එක settle කරන business හොඳ වුණා. For example, if you have experience with New Year seasonal business like garment, Ratitnya, and bucket, those kind of people may face difficulties in new before New Year or before Vesak. ඒතර ඊට කලින් මාසේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ගොඩක් හදනවා. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ බඩු ගන්න ගොඩක් සල්ලි ඕන ආදායම අඩුයි. ඒතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ cash deficit එකක් තියෙන්නේ. So thereby what is here is timing of cash movement is important. සමහර අයට පෙබරවාරි මාසේ ආදායමට වඩා වියදම් වැඩි. ඒගොල්ලෝ සූදානම් වෙනවා මාර්තු අප්‍රේල් මැයි සඳහා. එතකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් පෙබරවාරි මාසේ දුවගෙන ඇවිල්ලා කියනවා මුල මට මිස් මෙහෙමයි මට මහත්තයා මේකයි OD එකක් හදා ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. So ඒක තමයි cash shortage and cash surpluses. ඒතර cash surpluses තියෙන කාලට ඇවිල්ලා කියන්න පුළුවන් මට FD එකක් දාලා දෙන්න මාස 5කට. මට සල්ලි ටිකක් වැඩි මේ කාලේ. I need that money after 6 months to get a big import shipment is there. I need that money, something like that. So cash budget will help you to manage your cash flow, and it will facilitate for you to arrange short-term financial requirements. Borrowing, short-term borrowings. එතකොට අපි දන්නවා මේ මාසේ okay ඊළඟ මාසේ පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි. ඒ නිසා cash OD එකට යන්න ඕන. නමුත් ඊළඟ මාස තුනේ cash OD එක settle කරන්න පුළුවන් likewise. That's the cash budget. Then capital expenditure, of course, your investment plan, long-term investment plan, and purchasing and disposal, especially acquisition. So that is capital expenditure. What I will do is, with that, I will conclude for today. We will start next week the rest part, and we will do some question. I will upload that question also. 4:33. Yes, I will discuss the balance part of the handout next week, and we will do one question for the next week. Okay, shall we wind up? Any question before winding up? You have? We didn't receive earlier. All right, no question. So I think. How many classes more? I think we have 14 classes. Kalinga තමයි අහන්න ඕන. Kalinga, are you with us? Kalinga? I will let you know next week if they are not with us. We will see. I think I have Kalinga. We will discuss the question papers once we complete the. We will have two revision sessions. The number of sessions include 2 revisions. So I will discuss the question papers with. මොකද ආසන්න කර්මයනේ පළ දෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපි ඒක අන්තිමෝට කතා කරත් හොඳයි කියලා මට හිතෙනවා. But I can discuss. No problem. No. Calling in one name. Okay. ACAT exam also. It's not my under my control. Everything. So I will really deliver the lectures. The responsibility center. My responsibility. The exam matter. When to have the exam, when to declare the results, all that up there. But of course, I have to give the marks for them. That's true. But all exam administration responsibility matters are with the Institute of Bankers. I will just ask those questions with him, and he might talk to you little bit 5 or 3 minutes at the beginning of next week lecture about the exam and how many class the plan, if you know. No problem. I'm sorry, I don't have such information at the moment, but exam even may be online. Last time also we had online exam. We will see. Last time, no, not the online, but physical. I can't remember exactly. But in universities, we have online exam. And I will send the, I will ask Palinga to send the other handout also. Can we get the assignment marks before exam? Yes, upload කරලා ඉතින් බලලා දෙන්නවද? Yes, I will try. Upload ටික අරගෙන ඒ ටික මම බලන්න එපා සිස්ටම් ස්ක්‍රීන් එක පාවිච්චි කරලා. Yes, no problem, I can do it. But you get only 30 marks for that, I think, out of 100. හොඳට කරාන ඉතින් කොපි නැතුව හොඳට marks ආයි. All get, I think, most. Yes, this time I make it easy. No problem. Okay. Let me get right. Then shall I wind up?